Okay, so today we're talking about the Camino de Santiago, and we're lucky enough to have a very passionate and knowledgeable man by the name of Jerry Pilgrim with us today to chat about his experience taking his family on the Camino. And Jerry's also the Queensland account manager for Adventure World as well, so lives and breathes experiential travel, but he'll tell us more about that, I'm sure. So Jerry, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Mark, for inviting us this morning to talk about one of my favourite trips, actually. Yeah. I've been very lucky. I've been in the adventure travel industry for about 25 years. And I work for this terrific company called Adventure World Travel. And yeah, they've taken me to about 75 different countries over the years. And I've led about 36 expeditions. Actually, I know it's 36 because my wife always reminds me it's 36 expeditions around the world to various places like Antarctica or South America or Africa and all these type of things. And we've known each other for 20 years, I think, through the actual travel industry. But yeah, no, thanks very much for inviting me, because we had this chat the other day and we wanted to talk about travel with a purpose and travel with passion and travel that you can actually do that is meaningful, that you can actually, that's more than a flop and a drop, as it were. You know, go to a beach, have cheap drinks, come home, pretty much forget it. Same with some sort of cruises where the ships are all about what's going on board the ship rather than where you're actually going to. Who'd have thought we'd have got to that space in human travel? But no, this was a terrific trip that I did back. I think it was actually Facebook Marketplace. It's not Marketplace. Facebook is a terrific reminder of when you did these things. And this happened 4 years ago, whereby my wife and myself, we actually decided to actually go and walk a portion of the Camino, which is a walking trail in northwest Spain that's about 800 kilometers long, and we decided to walk about the last 120k of it. And yeah, my surname is Pilgrim, so this is a pilgrim's route, and there's thousands of kilometers of pilgrims trails where people, the last 2,000 years, often for Christian reasons, were walking through Europe to get to places like Rome or Santiago for Camino, or Canterbury in the UK, to repent for their sins as they were. So we weren't looking for any sort of lofty goals like that. We just wanted to take a 2-week holiday during the September school holidays in good weather in Europe, take the kids and actually do something. So yeah, we walked that 120k.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've got a map to put up, Jerry, haven't we? So I'll put that up so you can, you know, for those clients that don't really know much about the Camino, maybe talk us through what it is and what it looks like.
Oh, the powers of technology! Look at that. Well done, Mark. That's great. That's come up. Yeah. So what we've got here, we've got a slide. So up the top, this is a good old traditional pictorial map. So to the left there, if you cast your eye to where the compass rose there is in the corner. So you've got Santiago de Compostela. Now, in times gone past, they reckon that the bones of one of the apostles, St. James, was actually buried at Santiago de Compostela. So it became an actual pilgrimage route for people who had the time or wished to actually take a journey in their lives to walk here. And they came from all over. You know, there's pilgrim tales and trails. People walking from the UK, from England, all this way to Santiago to pray in northwest Spain. So over the years, it's become very, look, the word popular is not, well, I suppose popular. People go, oh God, I don't want to go somewhere that's crammed with people. But the traditional route is 799 kilometers, or nearest down at 800k long, to walk the whole thing. And people sort of take, depending on what sort of challenges they want to do, you could be walking 20, 30 kilometers a day. And that really wasn't our cup of tea to do something like that. We didn't have the time to do 800k. Although we met many, many people who did. There's about 250,000 people a year who walk this, which is incredible to think of. Because let's just say the world's most popular short trek, which is the Inca Trail to go up to see the ruins of Machu Picchu in Peru, That's 36K, and 80,000 people a year walk on that. And you will see people. It's busy, you know, because it's only 36 kilometers. You got 80,000 people traveling on it every year. This is 250,000 people. Sounds insane amount of numbers. Sounds like it's going to be crowded, jostling, people elbowing each other in the throat for a drink at the end of the day or anything. And it's not. You spread 250,000 people over 800K. It's sparse. Yes, you will see walkers, but you won't see hordes. So everything's quite balanced, and the restaurants cope with it, the cafes cope with it, the accommodation copes with it, all the way along that journey. Now, we picked the last 120K to actually walk. So if you look at that map, you've got Santiago de Compostela, and if you started heading right, you get to a little town in Galicia. Galicia, it's called there, and it's a very big sort of dairy and cheese and cow herd country. It's beautiful, rolling hills, all the rest of it. And so we started in a little town called Sarria. So we flew from Stansted Airport, London, into Santiago. The company we used offered us a transfer for that 120K. So we actually landed in Santiago. Sounds incongruous, but we actually drove the 120K east to get dropped off at our hotel. And then the mission was to walk all the way back through the countryside on a very, very established trail. Now, that trail itself, you could not get. So this was self-guided. So, and I know a lot of people, particularly parents, were going, "You are mad. You're walking through Spain. Your phone doesn't work. You haven't got your car. You don't speak the language. You've got 2 kids. You only got 2 weeks. What on earth are you doing?" But this is, we booked it through a company called Explore. They're down in the bottom there. So they organised all the accommodation. They organised transfers, but also more importantly, most people travel with a suitcase. We were sort of bags and soft bags and all the rest of it. But we had, and this is marvelous. I want to travel like this for the rest of my life. Luggage transfers. Armies of invisible old men in white vans scuttle around between all the way along this trail, all 800K of it, earning, to me, it seemed like pennies. To them, it was good money. It's only €6 per person per day, and which is about $10. You take your bags down to reception in the morning, you leave them there, and they've got these little special tags on it. The army of little old men in white vans come in, they pick up those bags and they go, "Oh, okay, so we're at Hotel A, it needs to go to Hotel B, which is about 15 or 20K down the road." They pick those bags up. So when you walk in to the next piece of accommodation, your bags are there. So, you know, we were, you know, on a 10-night trip, our luggage was transferred, not by us, by the army of little old men. They're doing this transfer all the way along. So the day-to-day operation, it was actually, it was cool. It was like a routine. And I know you've got kids, I've got kids. Routine's everything. Routine and morale, you know, morale is everything. So if you're in a great routine, everything's working like clockwork. And this is what happened. You basically got up in the morning, around about 6, 7 o'clock, you went downstairs, you had your breakfast, you had your coffee, your hot chocolate, whatever, your croissant, and your bacon and your eggs. And then your luggage was, it was done, that was reception. And then you'd have a quick team briefing with your family and go, "Right, today we are walking," it could be anything between 12 and 20K. And you've got all day to walk it, all the way through the lovely rolling countryside of northwest Spain. The road, the trail, you're not actually walking on a road, as in there's cars and heavy lorries going past or anything like that. It is actually a trail through the woods and over the hills. There's no cars or anything, or no vehicles on it. So it's actually a proper sort of woodland trail, as it were. And all the way along, there's little way markers. So over 2,000 years, you know, lots of people have put permanent markers and shells in the actual trail. So even if you were drunk, you could not get lost, you know, and because I did worry about that. I thought, if this is self-guided and we don't have a tour guide, what happens if I get lost? You know, I'm in dad mode, thinking of every single scenario that parents do, you know, to try and ameliorate risk. And there just wasn't. You just woke up in the morning, you just had a briefing saying, "Today we're walking 15K," and then you just started walking. And what was beautiful was the bonding between, and this is we're really getting down to the nuts and the bolts of the actual journey of why. I think we're all saturated with media in our houses, and school and shopping and so on and so forth, and cars. This was just like uplifting the entire family. You had one thing to do today, which was walk 15k or 20k. So you could be walking like 4 to 5, maybe 6 hours, depending on your pace. And I thought the kids were going to sort of rebel and have AirPods in, because they were 11 and 14 years of age at the time that they did it. Sorry, 11 and 13. And I thought they would rebel, and they didn't. They tried the AirPods for about half an hour walking, took them out, put them away, never put them in again on the walks. And so we weren't distracted. We were together as a unit, and we were bantering and talking and getting each other through the hard bits. And you realize that if you walk alone, it's harder. Whereas if you walk as a team and you're actually talking to each other, the kilometers just peeled away. And I felt like the kids got to know us more than they ever have, you know, because we were telling stories about our childhood and from our past and other travels and adventures and things that we'd done. And the kids were explaining to us their journey through life so far as well, you know, with school and friends and blah, blah, blah. So it was a terrific time to actually bond together. And at the end of the 2 weeks, we actually kind of missed it. It's like, oh, we're back to now the shops, the media, the Wi-Fi, everybody in the four corners of the house on these devices and blah, blah, blah. So it was absolutely a terrific family holiday. And if you're fit and you're able and you're capable of walking anything between 10 and 20k a day, and the human body is a very wonderful thing. It's totally capable of it. It's your brain that fights you. You know, it's your brain that says, oh, you know, you can't, I'm sore, I won't. And you go through that journey, and you explain this with your children. My daughter on day one actually sort of was like, what are we doing today? And I said, we're going to walk. I think day one was big. It was 23k. And she's like, wow, that's a long way. And I went, well, I don't have my car. I don't speak the language. My phone doesn't work on this bandwidth over here. Our luggage has already gone 23 kilometers. We're going to be walking through villages. There are shops, there are restaurants, there are cafes, there's other walkers. This is all we have to do today. And I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like, there wasn't a choice. The luggage is over there. We got to go. So off we walked, and you know, and it's amazing. Once you've done a 23k walk on day one, a 25k on another day, the 15s and the 18s were nothing. Were nothing. And the sense of achievement was terrific. And my son the other day, he actually went, when can we go traveling again? I really like that trip. You know, I really want to. He's 14 now, 15, and he's actually itchy to go off and explore. So that seed has been planted.
That's amazing, Jerry, because I think anyone with teenagers would all agree that connection is probably the biggest challenge. You know, teenagers become distant. You know, they just want to be in front of screens, and it sounds like you've stumbled on the holy grail here with regards to, you know, and we know, and science says that you get out in nature, you get out and you exercise, you start to have better conversations, people open up, you know, it's just better all around. And I love this, I think we've got a photo here of your wonderful wife and children in a forest there, which is a great, I guess, example of the type of trail. But to me, they look a lot happier and healthier than, you know, what we probably see most teenagers these days.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't want to hijack this conversation. We're supposed to be about trekking, but the problem what's going on with teenagers, I feel, is well, one of the upsides of what they're doing, because they've got the computers and they've got the technology and the Wi-Fi, which we didn't have when we were growing up, is they have a hive mind. They're not individuals. They've got all their friends and their community, and they navigate the world collectively in like a hive. So they're always sort of thinking in that way. When you actually go walking, this is what I like walking. if you're, and during COVID and lockdown, we've all had this problem where we've all been inside and you can feel your stress levels rising, and it's insidious, it creeps. You don't realize how much stress you're actually under by staying indoors. But if you, I mean, all of our employers have said, get out, go walking. And what actually happens when you walk, particularly after 20 minutes, there is a frontal cortex part of your brain. Now, I don't want your listeners and viewers read, you know, you've probably got some neuroscience theories going to decimate me for dividing up the brain basically like this. But at the front here, if you go walking, and we've been hardwired to do this for thousands of years, we are designed to be nomadic, designed to move, stuff calms down just by that sheer act of walking, particularly over 20 minutes. Something happens in the front of the brain, it numbs it down, the panic lowers, you no longer have the feeling like there is a bear or a predator or a mastodon, you know. It's almost like you're checking the perimeters and you can see that there is no risk. So that you're actually like, okay, everything's cool. So you calm down and you relax. So it's been said very many times, all the great ideas from all the great thinkers have often been produced when they've gone off for a walk. So yeah, if you're not feeling creative, if you're feeling blur and you're feeling bland and stale and on the couch plowing through another Netflix for some reason, try and blend a walk into your life, into your day, or several times a week or something. And I could see it happen in the kids. They slowed down. They didn't have that high twitch need for stimuli. Yes, hey, look, I won't lie. When we got to the 3 and the 4 star accommodation at the end of the day, it had Wi-Fi, and they went back to their hive mind. They'd walked for 6 or 7 hours. I'm not going to deny them a couple of hours. They checked in with their people. They checked in with whatever they were doing. That's cool. Mum and Dad had our time. We often sat in the garden of some cafe or hotel, and we'd have a gin and tonic at the end of the day and just think, yeah, nice one. We nailed it. I mean, because the kids at that age, their bodies can take that kind of exercise.
Yeah.
Us, we're 50. You know, it's you might be suffering in the calves or the ankles or the knees, but yeah, just to have that decompress at the end of the day.
So that gin and tonic that you just mentioned, Jerry, is probably a good segue into just, you know, I guess a lot of people will be thinking, what does an average day look like? I mean, you've talked about, you know, breakfast and luggage. You've talked about, you know, the end of the day. What's an average day? You know, I guess the highs and lows. Well,
all travel. I mean, you've been in travel for so long, a couple of decades. I always lead with what time of year we're going to go. So if you pick, you know, July and August and try and walk this, it's going to be hot.
Yeah.
Okay. And I much prefer Europe. I'm a European person. I'm from the UK. I tell everybody April, May is stunning and great, and all the staff are fresh and keen and enthusiastic to serve tourists in April and May, and the weather's terrific for things like walking. And this was like September, October, so we had the autumnal weather. It was about 14 to 18 degrees during the day, so it was perfect for walking weather. I would not like to have walked it in 28, 30, 32 degrees, but people did because of times and whenever they could. But yeah, so pick your time. So once you got that done, so we would get up, have the breakfast, start walking. Now, I know this from doing quite a few treks, taking people away. The first hour is the worst. And that is a problem, because people will only walk for about an hour in their normal domestic lives, and they never get through that hour. The first hour is the hardest because the muscles are warming up and you're going, ow, this is a bit inconvenient, a bit sore. Everything after that first hour is easy. You are suddenly a well-oiled machine, and there is almost like that runner's high they talk about in marathons, that you just think, I can keep going. And so once you get through the first hour, and we all agreed on it, first hour we'll just get through, and you listen to your body so much. You might suddenly, after about an hour and a half, 2 hours, you'll be going, oh, I'm feeling slightly irritable or slightly uncomfortable. That's your body wanting sugar. That is your body wanting a snack. You become almost like a baby, you know, having to be fed every 3 hours and a sleep and a rest and blah, blah, blah. So, and funnily enough, they all kind of know this. After 2,000 years of building this wonderful trail, the locals in the area know exactly where to place a restaurant or a cafe or a coffee stop or a sweet pie or a biscuit or something. So you're just going, yeah, I'm just not feeling quite right. Bang, you have a piece of shortbread or something, Santiago cake, which was everywhere, which was yum. And instantly you feel good, you know, and that was your body talking to you, saying, I need something. And we were pretty much done by 2 o'clock, so, or maybe even lunchtime. And then that afternoon would be to, now if anybody is in your, I mean, I know you have the healthy lifestyle segment for the travel industry. If there's anybody there that does running, we met quite a few people that just would run 15 or 20K in the morning. And they would start running at 7 when it was cool, and they'd be done. They would be at their next hotel at 9 o'clock. You know, 2 hours later, it's done, home and hosed. So at 9 o'clock, so they had the rest of the day to explore that village, do whatever they wanted to do, lunches, dinner, blah, blah, blah. Whereas we just got in roughly always around about the 12-y, 1 o'clock-y to 2 time. And then there was just a sort of wash up and relax. And then there'll be an evening meal. Now, with the company Explore that I use, it was half board. So it was breakfast and dinners included. So this was awesome. It's not like I had to suddenly start going, oh, TripAdvisor, what restaurant is the best, and have a look at the ratings, and everybody else was there and it was too busy and get a booking. That was all done. There was set Pilgrim menus. So you'd actually get a 3-course dinner. And hey, those things were normally around about €10, which is about $15, $16 for a meal. And it was an entree, main, and dessert. And then you pretty much were, you know, you're not watching telly. You probably have your evening meal, and then about 8, 9 o'clock, it was lights out. Round you go again. But it's every night is a different hotel. It's different scenery. You've had your stimulation. So yeah, a really wonderful trip, and we did miss it actually. There's been times we've sat around and go, God, I'd really like to be back on that again. That was done a lot of travel, but that one really got to me. And we've actually said that, and we met people who had done this, depending how busy their lives were, they'd cut the Camino into sections, into blocks in their lives. So they would do 120K when they were about 50, and then 54, 55 years of age, they go and do another 100K, or the next year, then they do 400K or something. And I stood up in a restaurant to go to the bathroom, and I noticed there was probably about 80, 90 people in this restaurant, in this sort of quite a big, vast hall, and they were all having our Pilgrim's dinner. It wasn't sort of like a barracks set up, but it was close to it at this place. And I was one of 4 men out of about 80 people. Every single table was women between the ages of 50 and 70. So I don't know what goes on in the female mind between 50 and 70, but this is popular for females. Maybe it's the kids have left home, they're empty nesting, the husbands don't want to do it, maybe, I don't know, or they had another adventurous female, or they were revisiting their backpacking days of later on in life. But you could definitely see a lot of people, they were seeking the spirituality of the journey, and they were seeking the solitude of it as well, and they were doing it in the company of like-minded people. So yeah, we met a lot of people. We became a little bit famous because no one was walking really with kids, and everybody loved kids. So everyone was coming up and saying, "Boy, Camino, you know, have a great walk," and want to know our story and where we're from, and a lot of this is stimulated by, there's several films out there that have been made about, I think Charlie Sheen, or is it Martin Sheen? Can't remember. The nicer one.
One of the Sheens.
yeah, the one, not the son. The son's no good. Yeah, but the older one. I think it's Martin. Yeah, it is Martin. He did a film called The Way, and how he went looking for his son on the Camino, and it changed his life. And I think a lot of people saw that film and went, aha, this could be some sort of salve or key to suburban malaise of how we live and all the rest of it. I don't think you can run away from your own head. You actually are who you are. But going along this way, it gave them the time to discover about themselves and listen to themselves, and just have time. Just have time. You're not in your car. You're not racing. You only go as fast as you can go. So
that's what I'm getting. You know, when you talk about conversations that, you know, people interested in your story, it's just it creates space, doesn't it? When you do something like this, it just creates space for conversation, to soak things up, to be more aware. And I can't think of any downside to doing something like this as a family.
No, and well put, because it creates space. When you come back, you sort of think, wow, we did that. But when you're actually doing it, you've got time to just do the activity. It's not actually like, and there is a curse of Australians who go traveling because we've got a limited amount of time or budget or whatever. We try and pack the most ridiculous amount of content into every day to maximize every day of the moment, and it just becomes an exhausting saga. Some people's holidays, no wonder cruising is so popular, because it's just get in there, unpack once, and you let it unfold, and you can actually have a holiday. But sometimes these land-based journeys, you see people's itineraries, and it really is Monday it's Munich, Tuesday it's somewhere else beginning with a T, and so on and so forth. It really is. Monday will be in London, then it's Shakespeare country on Tuesday, and then Wednesday you're in Scotland, and so on and so forth. Which is madness, which is absolutely madness. It's like trying to gorge through a buffet. It's exhausting. So this does
yeah. Well, one of my fundamental beliefs about travel is that a lot of consumers have it the wrong way around, where they see travel as a reward for, say, 6 months of hard work, whereas I see it the other way, that travel should set you up for the next 6 months of hard work. So you should come back from a trip ready to tackle your goals, ready to be a better dad, a better employee, leader, whatever it is. But most people look at it as a reward. Oh, I've got there, I've got to my holiday. Whereas what you've done here is you've got a greater connection with your wife and your children. Your children have had great experiences, and you've really got them out of that hive that you're talking about. And probably as a husband and wife, I'm sure you've got that built your relationship even stronger as well. So they're amazing benefits that travel can give if you book the right trip in the right way with the right intent, I guess.
You'd probably experience this being successful in travel, is you have to listen to everybody. Like, there's probably people watching this thinking, is this going to work for my family? If everybody's clear about what you're going to do, and there's something in it for everybody, then you'll get buy-in. It can't be a diktat. You can't actually have a marathon running mother or a triathlete father dictating, we're going to do this, no discussion, I'm paying, that's that. You run the risk there of rebellion and pushback, and it will happen on day one. There could be a mini revolt. So you have to actually explain it clearly, and this is where the benefit of someone like yourself, a specialist, a travel agent, comes in, and also decent information from a supplier like Explore and Adventure World Travel, that they comes in, and so you can actually listen to what everybody wants in the family. Look, I made no bones about it. My daughter, she was sort of slightly suspect about this. She was like, well, we haven't done this before, so why are we doing it? And she was 13, and that's great. Questioning is all good. So we bribed her with, at the end of this, we're going to go to Paris for 3 days. And I was like, right, okay. I said, if we do this, we visited my parents in the UK, lovely, fine. And then it was over to do this for a couple of weeks. And then it was Paris, and my son, and there was Hong Kong on the way. And my son really wanted to do Hong Kong. He actually wanted to do Tokyo, but that's another negotiation. But so everybody had, if you do a bit of this, you're going to get that. So that's how you sort of find out with a family. And actually, that just reminded me about using a travel agent. Everybody wants to go and book online on the internet. When I was putting this together, we spent 10 hours just trying to pick a hotel in Hong Kong. I was at my wit's end. Because we just didn't know where to stay and what to do. It was only two nights over there and one night back, and everything looked ridiculously expensive for Hong Kong. And I had 10 hours, and this is only for 2 nights out of this whole. We were away about 26 days, I think, on this one. No, 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And kids go to a Catholic school, so the Catholic school was like, "You going on the Camino?" Write a blog, send us information. We're all over this. They loved it, but and even the headmistress, she'd actually walked the Camino a couple of years before, so they were well approved of. But after doing 10 hours of just that hotel, I was like, I can't. No, so I actually went to the travel agent community and I said, where do you stay in Hong Kong? And bang, I had 3 choices straight away. And that discussion was over. That's why you need those. Like, I don't service my own car. I open the lid. I've got no idea. So I give that to a specialist. I'll outsource it. The same happens with travel. I will. I'm great at the ideas and the treks and the day to day, but picking the actual hotels and the transfers and booking the flights, that's your department. You do that. I'm in charge of morale and activity. Yeah.
So what I've got from today so far, Jerry, obviously the time of year is important. You don't want to go when it's too hot.
No.
Having it pre-planned, doing only the 120 Ks, doing it in a chunk, having it all, the hotels booked. You've got that luggage transfer, so you've got some good structure to set, because you wouldn't go free range, as a family. As a family, you've got to have some routine and plan, as you say.
Always.
So that works really well, and probably gives some parents that might have been freaking out about even thinking about taking their family on the Camino some solace. But is there any other sort of tips that you'd get if anyone was planning to take?
Actually, you've triggered something in my mind. Now, remember when I said I stood up and there was lots of females there? There isn't. You can walk the Camino almost like Jesus if you want to, like two robes, a pair of sandals, and there's dormitories along the way, so you can do it for pennies. There's books on it, like Lonely Planet backpacker style. So let's just call that 1 star. You can do that. So say that's what you want to do. You actually want to strip your life of all the trappings of material wealth and go and reinvent your brain, 6 weeks of rewiring yourself. Blessings to you. That is perfect for you. You can do it, and you don't book anything. You just walk from village to village to village, and you go, I shall stop here, and I might stop here for 3 days. You can do it. You can actually do that. Then there are people that don't have those freedoms, which are most of us, I'm going to say. So you need some form of structure. So there are companies like Explore, Adventure World Travel, and they can, and using travel agents yourself, who can pre-book an itinerary to get those basics locked down. Where am I sleeping? Because a lot of people, they don't want to have sort of experienced travelers will go, hold on, so I can walk from village to village to village, and there's dormitories there, and I can just rock in and I can sleep. Yes, you could, but you can't pre-book it. So you could be from Australia over there in another country, walking in, and it could be like Jesus and Mary, like, no room at the inn. Sorry, we're full. You got to go find somewhere else. Now that is a level of stress I don't need after walking a day. But also, when we're on the trail, you realize people that were living like that, there was a sense of urgency in their walking, because they were trying to beat everybody else to get to the next village, in order so they could knock on the door and go, is there room at the inn? And they would say, yes, there is. And this dormitory's got 18 people, and you can be in here. And then there's people snoring in there, and you don't get a good night's sleep. And there's a lot of positives to this. It's cheap. You can go at your own pace, the rest of it. Being an experienced traveler, I'll own it. I am. I just knew that I would spend my day going, where am I sleeping? Are they going to snore? Is it nice? And where would I go? Where's plan B? Where's plan B? I didn't have any of that. My luggage was gone. My hotel was booked. I even knew where I was going to eat. And I could just get on with what I was trying to do, which was talk to I was just trying to talk to my family, Mark. That's what I actually wanted to do for 2 weeks. And I was allowed to do that.
That's awesome.
That's it. And then also you can, we built an itinerary. There was a chap down the Gold Coast. I won't name names, but you know, a trip like this is that I was booking is only around about £2,000, £3,000 per person to do this. We booked a 5-star gourmet culinary delight one. There was 5 of them. His son was addicted to Xbox and Fortnite and all the rest of it, and he said, "I want what you just did, Jerry." So there's 5 of them. And they spent about $75,000 to $80,000 on doing a gourmet 5-star private guide, private transfers, private this, that, and the other. So the Camino Trail is scalable. You can suit the budget. If you want to get delivered by a helicopter somewhere, you could. If you want to be taken off and do a paddock to plate gourmet degustation meal and meet the shepherds and the herders that raise the animals and slaughter them and tell you about how they stuff them with herbs and cheeses, and it's awesome, and you can, and drink fine wines at the end of it. It's there. You know, you're talking like some of the best produce in the world. It's on par with Italy. So it's all there. That wasn't our budget, unfortunately. Mortgages like the rest of us. But yeah, we were sort of in that 3 to 4 star space and shape.
It sounds like what you did, the balance of a bit of comfort, but you've got the experience as well, rather than being in a lap of luxury. Now, this photo on the screen now, Jerry, I believe is the finish. I'm just
correct.
I couldn't help but notice the lady in the bottom right-hand corner with the pink jumper on. I don't think she's just walked the Camino.
I don't know. Maybe she has. She might have got in yesterday. That is us. That is us, fresh off the trail. As you can see, my son and I were wearing our t-shirts, pilgrims being pilgrims. We did have it pointed out. We've done the apostrophes wrong. That was never my strong point, apostrophes. But yeah, we are. My name's Jerry Pilgrim, so we are being pilgrims on the Pilgrim Trail. So that was our t-shirt. And ladies abstained from that photo that day. They have got those t-shirts somewhere. But this is the end game, to walk into town and be actually. And it's one. I should send you another picture. But if you look on YouTube or on TV, there is a picture of all the monks, and they have what's called a fumarole, which is an enormous size of your dining table incense burner, and it swings, and then about 10 of them pull it like tolling bells. Yeah. So when there is mass on a Sunday, so we got in on a Sunday, and they were swinging the fumarole, and it whoosh overhead and back again, whoosh like this over 1,000 people inside the cathedral, and yeah, it was really intense. It can build your faith. If you haven't got it, or if you've lost it, it can do it. So yeah, nice to have a start, nice to have a goal, and nice to have a fantastic middle. It was and then onwards to Paris, to Eiffel Tower and all that for my daughter, and yeah, that's another story, another tale.
Absolutely. So I think that's been awesome, Jerry. I'm inspired by it. It's certainly something with 2 teenage boys I would like to do. There might be a bit of planning to be done there, and yeah, something like that, Paris. I think how you bookend it, and and I've done that with family holidays in the past, with stopovers in Hong Kong and something in it for the kids or things like that. But the fact that it's not too long, you can then do your Paris or London or Italy, or you can do those add-ons, a Mediterranean cruise if you wanted to, afterwards, as this is our little reward. So so that's fantastic, Jerry. I think we might need to leave it there today, if that's all right.
We're not going to discuss the potential for boys on taking our sons to Everest Base Camp.
Yeah,
we'll save that. We'll save that for another time.
We'll save that for another time. But certainly taking the principles of what you've, I guess, enjoyed and taken from the Camino, and taking that to other trips is certainly something that yeah, no doubt you'll see me and Jerry working on a few projects in that space in the future. So I appreciate your time today, Jerry. Of course, if anyone's got any questions about the Camino, I can please contact myself at Mind and Body Travel, and any specific questions, Jerry, I'll be able to talk to Jerry and get any details that you need. But it's certainly something that I think no family would regret doing something like that with their teenagers. So, so thank you so much for your time today, Jerry.
Thank you very much. Cheers, Matt. I really enjoyed that journey down memory lane.